I briefly read the mission statement of Radio Liberty, which states that the reporters of Radio Liberty provide news in 27 languages and 23 countries where a free press is banned by the government or not fully established. There is something more interesting about Radio Liberty on Britannica Online, and it reads as follows. Radio Liberty is a radio broadcasting organization created by the United States government in 1950 to provide information and political commentary to the people of communist Eastern Europe and the Soviet Union. In the absence of unbiased media in the communist countries, Radio Free Europe provided its estimated 35 million listeners with news from around the world and, more important, from their own countries. Because of its largely successful efforts, Radio Liberty is credited with having contributed significantly to the demise of communist regimes throughout Eastern Europe. Today's Radio Liberty in Armenia is directly the opposite of all that is written about Radio Liberty on Britannica Online. Radio Liberty in Armenia has been a propagandistic platform for the communist, neo-Bolshevik administrations that have succeeded each other for the past 30 years. It has silenced and is silencing the voice of democratic and national forces in every way and has supported the occupation of Armenia by the Bolshevik communist regimes of Russia in every way. Harair Tamrazian probably fell off his chair after hearing about the principles of and foundations for the establishment of Radio Liberty. In order for us to have a picture of how tremendously low the standards of Radio Liberty have become, we need to be aware of the fact that Radio Liberty continues with its policy in 2022 when, in essence, Russia, the inheritor or legal successor of Bolshevik Russia, is waging a war against the whole world, the free and civilized world, and we are witnessing a war that is becoming a bloody war. Hundreds of our Ukrainian brothers and sisters are being killed by this communist regime and this empire of evil every day. And by spreading its propaganda, Radio Liberty is presenting to Armenians a viewpoint that is the opposite of the current viewpoint in the world. In other words, the whole civilized world is united as one and is fighting against this evil. But every day, Radio Liberty tells Armenians that there is no alternative to the Russian-Turkish clause. That is, the Bolshevik Communist and Turkish clause. Imagine in 1950, the young people of Poland managed to find Radio Liberty on radio channels or by a miracle and heard a voice telling them that there is no alternative to the communist Bolshevik occupation for the Poles, that they need to be realistic and come to grips with the situation. This is inconceivable, right? This is what is going on in Armenia today. How can the Armenian people become a part of the free world? But this is the goal of the free world, as represented by the flag bearer, US President Joe Biden, who invites the Armenian people to the Summit for Democracy. And even though we know the Armenian people are represented by an unworthy person who is holding office, Biden is inviting them to the Summit for Democracy in order to show that the Armenian people are a part of the free and civilized world and that they must not form a part of the communist regime of Russia that Russia is trying to establish around the country and in neighboring countries, wherever it can. In Ukraine, it is doing this through bloodshed. In Armenia, it is doing this through bloodshed. In Belarus, it is doing this in another way, for instance, through propaganda or bludgeons of police officers, etc. I want to say liberty to Radio Liberty because the Armenian people are in need of that. Thank you.
Բաժանորդագրվեք ազգային ժողովրդավարական բևեռի YouTube-յան ալիքին։